Alright, I'm gonna get right into this because it's already been too long. I was supposed to get this up yesterday, and yeah, oh man, had shit to do. And I did get up another video. As you can see, my co-host this week is Chuckles, very festive, I know. And for those who haven't watched it, there's a video of me giving birth to Chuckles, as it were. And there's a little surprise at the end. Might as well show it to you. There's a nice logo there. I don't know if you guys recognize it, but it's one of my favorite game software companies, so bonus points for those who know what it is. So yeah, I'm gonna get right into this because, like I said, it's already been too long. Fitting this week that I find at my first stop a game that is very Halloweenesque, so, or old school Halloween. I'm gonna get right into this, and here we go. So first stop, said Nintendo, Sega, Super Nintendo games. So we got there first place right away, and when you know there's known quantities. If somebody's saying they're selling video games, somebody's saying they're selling old video games, you go there first, because people will get them, and they won't be you. So, and maybe there'll be sharks, and there's a difference between a shark and a fox. And that's what I am, I'm a fox. Yeah, I'll put up a video about sharks soon. I say soon. Anyways, first stop. And lady has games splayed out all on the table, really nicely organized. She was selling her boyfriend's games, they were moving. And this is what I picked out. So, Super Ghouls and Ghosts. I don't know how common the game is, but you know, I've been looking for it, and funny that it is, I find it this week. So yeah, fun game. I have it for the Master System already, and I'd love to find it for the Genesis and see what's the differences between this version especially and the Genesis one, but yeah, Super Ghouls and Ghosts. And then we've got Inspector Gadget. Funny as it were, they had 2 copies of this game, and you know, the cartoon's fun and all. I don't know how the game's gonna be, but I see the Hudson Soft B, and that stands for quality in my books. So Gradius 3, it's a double for me. Outlander, I think this is like a you know, the Road Warrior kind of game, basically like Road Rash but in a car. And let's see, Pitfall for the Super Nintendo, got it last week on the Genesis. And finally a game called Kendo Rage. Other than that, for the Super Nintendo, they didn't really have much else. I think I took all their games. I think they had Super Mario World, but I was going to leave that guy there. And then had some Genesis games, and fortunately all cartridges, but you know, some decent ones. I left some there that either I already had or that I didn't know really what they were, and I really wasn't going to take them in cartridge form. Like Chalkin'. I always hear about the game or see the cover, but I have no idea what the game is like. So if I ever find a box copy, I'll probably pick it up. But found this game. Label's a little bit torn, but Sword of Vermilion. I have no clue what it's like. So it's probably one of those really, really early ones like Mystic Defender. And the label really reminds me of one of those early like magic action type games. Streets of Rage 2. Now this is a double for me as well, but my last copy, there's something weird about the cart where it's like there was an error, but either way it's a much better looking copy. And Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, pretty decent shape. It's funny how I never really liked the Genesis version. I was more a fan of the arcade and played this game a bunch, and it just never really appealed to me. But I saw it there and I decided to pick it up. You know, the 80s renditions of the bit tunes or whatever, the Michael Jackson's pop songs are pretty cool to listen to, but and surprisingly this game has, it used to be like a really cheap game, but once Michael Jackson died, you know, it's just the value just shot up like crazy. This game is like a $20 cart now, I think. $50 in box, which is just insane and unfair, but it always seems that way. So, and these are the Nintendo games I picked out. Some unique ones here. Yeah. So, Bible Adventures. I've always heard of these weird Wisdom Tree games, but I never saw them, so I'll pick it up and plug it in, see what the heck it's like. It's definitely not one that I think I'd keep in my collection if it did suck. I tend not to buy games that suck, so, or at least in my opinion. If I don't like it, it's gone. Zoda's Revenge. Unfortunately, I never played the first game, so I have no clue what this one's going to be like, but I think it's supposed to be like a Zelda type game. Meh. And then Mega Man 1 in kind of rough shape, but it's passable. Almost perfect copy of SNK's Athena. No clue what it is. Just looked at the cover, thought it was like a shmup game or something about some Valkyrie or something. I'll find out. Fist of the North Star. Again, I have no clue what the game is like. Another Zelda 2. I would say this one's almost in its better shape, but nah, still rubbed on the corners. And this game is gonna... Okay, so this game, Gumshoe, right? I'm looking at it, and I didn't know whether it had a converter in it or not. It's a 5-screw, and I'm trying to look at the bottom of the pins and seeing if they align left or not. But the weird thing is, the lady... so I was trying to see what the pins were like on the bottom, and you know, I'm looking at it, but it's really hard to see because the pins are like really gummed up with something. They're like, I don't know, it looks like maple syrup. You won't be able to see that with this lighting, but it's pretty bad. And I was talking to the girl about it, and she's like, yeah, just have that one. So yeah, I got that for free. And Rygar, probably gonna hate that one. I think I played it before. I think the arcade game's a lot easier, or it's not the fact that it's easy, it's just the fact that it's more controllable and more fair. I don't think the NES version is as fair. So, and then Golgo 13, a manga, I think, originally. Anyways, I never played it, and I thought it was one that I shouldn't leave. So yeah, I mean, there were other games there for the NES that I left just because I really wasn't interested. But there was one I think I probably should have taken because I figured it probably was like a shmup, but it was The Last Starfighter, i.e. the one based on the movie The Last Starfighter in the 80s. I left that there, but now I don't know, I probably should have picked it up, but who knows. It was in really decent shape too. So let's see what we got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Now the lady, she was like saying, oh, the NES games were $1, Genesis and Super Nintendo were $2, and these were games that her boyfriend had put out. But you know, I got the feeling that there were more that he didn't put out, but the thing is, I don't think he really checked the value of these games, otherwise he might have hung on to them. I'm thinking he more or less pulled the ones that he liked more. The lady called her boyfriend and asked if he had games like any more Mega Man games. And man, I'd love to find Kirby's Dream Land 3, but she said that after she got a reply back from her boyfriend, he didn't have any of those, so I left there feeling I may have left out maybe Final Fantasy games, Chrono Trigger, or something like that. I mean, there was a Dragon Warrior for the NES I left there, so maybe he was somewhat of a fan of an RPGs, but excuse me. So supposedly she was trying to give me a deal on those, but of course we couldn't always arrange to get a better deal. And I didn't even really tally it all up. I just knew that I was aiming for, like, I gave her an offer of 10. She really was pushing, to trying to get more, so I ended up settling on 20, which is definitely fair. I mean, out of the whole lot here, since I have no clue what the rest of the games are going to be like, I'm super glad I got Super Ghouls and Ghost, and I think this is like a $20 game. So, congrats. I think I made out on that one. Mega Man should be fun too. I don't think I ever played the original. So, and see, this was all the way in the neighboring town, which is like 13, 15 miles away. And so, I'm down there, and it's actually around the same time the thrift store is open. So I decided to stop there and check out what's there before I had to head back, because I was missing the sales back in my own town. So yeah, I did not want to miss any more of those sales, and I wanted to get back. And I figured I'd probably get back there around 11 at the earliest, just because, I mean, it takes me like 15 minutes with all the hills and the wind and whatever. So yeah, checked out the thrift stores, found nothing in the first one, went to the second one, found some games amazingly stacked up. It's surprising I haven't found any new stuff there in a while. I usually find quite a good amount, but just haven't been as lucky there, I guess. So I saw this actually earlier, but I wasn't going to buy it on that day just because the price was outrageous. And for an Atari game, I really don't like to pay more than... I'd like to pay less than $1 for an Atari game, but I haven't seen any for a while, and I never heard of this one, so it was half off for $1. Surround. I have no clue what the game's like. It looks like there are lines that you surround another person's line with. I'm thinking more, like the game Worm or that Tron Cycle game. Basically like that. Or my favorite, Nibbles. Yeah, so if any of you guys had IBM computers back in the day, you'll know what I'm talking about, QBasic and everything. Anyways, Nibbles. Or Surround. Saw a stack of Super Nintendo games, had to pick them up. We got Super Mario World, Mario All-Stars, Donkey Kong Country. Not one of my favorites, but I figured I have doubles of Donkey Kong Country 2, so why not pick up Donkey Kong Country 1 if I ever need to sell it? It'd probably do better. Plus, it was only $1. And, yeah. I see these games, Super Mario World and Super Mario All-Stars, and I mean, I like the cover art, but after you find out that there's a game that has both Super Mario World and Super Mario All-Stars on one cartridge, why would you ever get a cartridge or 2 cartridges? Again, I don't know. To me, it just seems like I mean, I really like especially the cover art on Super Mario All-Stars. Let's see if we can get this off without... I don't want to jack it up, but, I think you may have all seen it already, but, it shows the cool cover art from all the Mario games, and it's a very cool cartoony cover. Anyways, and I got a cleaning kit for the Super Nintendo. So, it was $1. So I had him. I mean, I'm pretty fine with cleaning my own stuff, but the way I clean them. But I figured, you know, to get inside those little grooves, especially in the context of the system, might be easier. I always put a very fine piece of sandpaper down there anyways to clean all the grit off the contacts, but yeah. And finally, I picked up Warhammer Shadow of the Horned Rat complete, and it looks like an RTS game. I don't know, it could be fun. It was only $2, so I mean, I've never been a fan, I guess, of the painting of them and everything, but might be fun. So, excuse me for a moment. I'm thirsty. Yeah, so anyways, I head back to my town, and I'm expecting there to be nothing at the yard sales, and pretty much everybody's cleaned up at that time, which is pretty much the case, but at the same time there weren't that many sales happening. I mean, we're getting towards the end of the season, it's getting colder and colder in the mornings, so, you know, you expect this, but you still go out, and you know, I marked down certain addresses I need to go to, and anyways, so you know, I'm heading to one of those addresses, and I noticed that there's a yard sale, you know, a random one set up, and of course I stopped by it because you always stop by the random ones, and I've had really good luck stopping at those ones that aren't advertised. So anyways, I stopped by there, and I asked the guy there, if he had any video games and if he had any like the cartridge ones and everything, and he tells, or his wife is saying like, oh yeah, we have the old Nintendo, and the guy's like, no, we sold that like 2 hours ago, and I was like, shit. I mean, we can't get all the systems in my town, but I'm pretty certain that if I were there 2 hours ago, it would have been mine. But not the system. Maybe if you had some good games. I mean, I don't know how many games he had with it, but it was a box. Who knows? Could have been like I mean, I'm looking for some titles, but anyways, can't get all of them, I guess. And so anyways, I'm hitting it all over the place and checking out the ones that I wanted to go to. And very last sale I go to was advertised, but for some reason when I show up there's like a box of video games, and these aren't old games. I mean, they're old games, but they're not like, you know, cartridge retro kind of deals. But either way, I mean, I saw some good titles in there. So first one that popped out at me was Beautiful Joe, and I had this game for the PlayStation back in the day, or sorry, for the GameCube, and it should be interesting seeing what the differences are. I think I'd still prefer to have the GameCube one again, but I got really used to the controls, and I think I played a little bit of the second one on PlayStation 2, and the controls just felt a little off to me. But nonetheless, fun game. And rummaging through the box, and yeah, I pick out like every single Ratchet and Clank game there is for the PlayStation 2. And never owned any of these, but you know, they're pretty much the Mario games of the PlayStation 2. Excuse me. Jeez. You got it. I don't know, I'm parched. The, you know, mainstay of the platformers for the PlayStation 2. And I didn't realize they had so many on the PlayStation 2. I thought they maybe had two games maybe, or 3 at most, but he had 4, so I don't even know if they're 5, but they're 4. So anyways, like, comes down to bargaining, and you know, I asked before if she had any. When I showed up, I asked if the lady running the sale had any cartridge games and old type games and what have you, and she didn't know, but she's like, "Oh, my son's here, he would know," and so she calls him out, and you know, he's a teenager, of course, and she asks him. He said he had some Game Boy games, but he wasn't gonna sell them, so yeah. Anyways, I started looking around the sale again. I already had noticed these guys. Nobody else was there. I didn't pick them up and hold on to them, but they were sitting away. But I wanted to wait for the kid to go back in, because I really didn't want him having around when I was bargaining with the mom. So I pull out $3 for 5 games, and go to the mother and say, "Would you take $3?" And she's like, "Oh, the games, that's not my territory." And she calls out her son, and the son was, of course, pushing for more. He was like, "Oh, I wanted to get around $2 a game," something like that, and said, how about 3 for these?" And he's like, "Maybe for 3." And then I said, "Well, how about $4 then?" It's like, "Okay, 4 for 5, 4 for the 3, or something like that, or 4 for 4, whatever it was." He wasn't giving me the 5th game, and you know, I was like, "Okay, how about 5 then?" And he's like, "I don't know, I was really trying to get 2." And so the mother, at this point, I had worked my charms again, and the mother was like, "Just give it to him." And so, yeah, the son was reluctantly was pressured by the mother into giving me the games for $5. So I made out there, and as I was leaving, the mother was like, "You sure know how to shop." Yeah, made out a good deal there. So anyways, that's pretty much all the game stuff I picked up this week. But you know, finding those Super Nintendo games and that PlayStation game made me think that there might be more games at the thrift store, and so I go back yesterday on Monday, which is unusual for me. I don't know, I felt like maybe they might have had more that were going to go out or something. It's sometimes the case. And I go back, and of course there's nothing there. But there's some other neat stuff. I don't know how much you guys care about this, but you should let me know, because maybe then I'll stop mentioning it. But, excuse me. Let's see what we got. I got a video scaler for it scales up your like old video games so that they don't appear like shit on a monitor. Has a ton of inputs and VGA out, so $10, box and everything. Finally, they had a DVD recorder, HD and DVD player / DVD recorder. I couldn't pass this up for $14. I could not pass this up. Worked and tested it out, and it works. And it's $14. I mean, this thing's worth like $200 at least. You see something like that, you're not gonna pass it up. Just like last week with the Laserdisc player for $18, I think I spent on that. So yeah, you just don't pass this up. And finally, out here. Finally, again, you might think, how is a picture frame game related? You can frame a photograph in there. You can, put a advertisement in there related to games, but This is a digital photograph, as you can see. LCD screen there, or whatever. And, well, action speaks louder than words, so... Huh? Isn't that awesome? I'm gonna turn it off or put it away. But either way, for a while now, I've been thinking like I wanted some sort of LED display or uh, something like little made out of pixels, right? Where I could put my character art. But it seemed too static, you know. I would have to change it so often that because my mood would change. I'd maybe want Sonic up or Tails up or Kirby or Mega Man or something. My mood would change so frequently that I wasn't happy with something that was static. Like a light bright where you'd pop in the lights and change it. It'd just be too time consuming. I've seen other types of displays that were super expensive where it would light up different LEDs and you could even animate them, but nothing too fancy in terms of colors. But this guy over here, there's only one thing on it now. It actually took me 3 freaking hours to figure out how to get that on there. So this has got to be like the worst customer friendly device out there I've ever dealt with. But you can put pictures on there, you can put movies. I mean, right now this movie doesn't have any sound. I didn't want it to have sound and take up more space, but you can put music and anything on there. So I plan on using this to its fullest extent, putting different little clips on there and different pictures. And right now, like I said, it's just looping through that one video, but I intend to make good use out of that. So that's what we got this week. And it's getting towards the end of the season, and I'm surprised I'm actually finding stuff like this. The last month to 2 months have been pretty ridiculous in terms of the pickups. But you just gotta get out there, and you'll find the stuff. You just gotta be persistent. That's all I can say. So yeah, with my co-host Chuckles here, have a very fun and safe Halloween, everybody. Good night.